Hey guys, it's Junette. I'm a photographer based out of California, and you're probably wondering why the heck would I put manual lenses on my Sony A7C II when it has the best AI autofocus ever? Well, in this video, I'm going to go over exactly why and many other reasons, and I'm going to kind of show you guys how the adapter looks on the camera with manual lenses adapted, and reasons why you would do this and reasons why you might not. And of course, towards the end, I'm going to show you guys some sample photos which you are not going to believe came out of this camera, and some videos so that you can see what the quality is like. All right, so I want to show you guys the adapter I bought. I bought the Earth adapter. So this is the Minolta MD to Sony E. Very high quality adapter. I mean, this thing is built very well compared to some of the other ones I've seen online. You know, this one was at 59 bucks, so not too bad. And it's really nice. It's got some nice, it's not actually that heavy, but it's got a nice weight to it, which is always great when you're shooting manual focus because it helps sort of stabilize things. Granted, there's IBIS in the camera, but let's say you're gonna do this with a camera that doesn't have IBIS, it's nice to have a little extra weight. So I have two 50mm lenses here from Minolta. This is the 50mm f2 MC rocker, and then I have the 50mm f1.7 MD. So the MC, if you're gonna buy that one, this is heavier significantly. The MD is a little bit lighter. So I would probably suggest going for the faster one, 1.7, and it's a little bit less weight. I also bought this, there's a link down below, but this is a nice little lens hood that kind of gives it that like vintage retro look. So that's pretty cool. If you look at Earth's website, they tell you to adapt the lens to the adapter first before doing it on your camera. And you can see there's like two red dots right there. So you're just gonna turn it until you hear that click. And then there's like this button here that allows you to remove it. So that's pretty nice. So let me put that back on again and we'll get this thing on the camera. Okay, so now that we've got that adapted, it's not too big. I mean, when you compare it to the Sigma 30mm f2, it's literally the same size, but probably slightly lighter. And that's with the lens hood. If you take the lens hood off, look at that difference. It's shorter by about an inch. So that's pretty sweet. Nice compact setup. Okay, so when you put it on, just like any old lens. And it's built so well that there's like no gaps. It's like perfect fit, and that's it. So this is how it looks. I mean, that's pretty sweet, dude. Look at that. Tell me that's not sick. Like I said in the last video, dude, I had like 2 or 3 people stop me and ask if this was a film camera. And when I showed them that I had like a vintage lens adapted on it, they just fell over and died. I'm just kidding, they didn't do that. But they were like pretty stoked. But the one thing I'll say about the f1.7 is it has a pretty long focus throw. So like going from the closest to the furthest focus, like that's it. It's like one full turn compared to the 50 f2, which is, you can move it a lot faster. And I think it's the same amount. It's definitely one full turn, but it moves a lot faster. Which kind of helps, but if you're trying to get like precise focus, I kind of like the slower focus. Like I said, it depends on what scenario you're in, but I don't know, I like both. I can't really say I prefer one over the other because this is a lot lighter. So the other lens I have is the 35 f2.8 MC, and this is also a little bit heavier because it's an MC. Optically, I think the MC and MDs are pretty similar, but I think the MDs are a little bit sharper. But look how small this is, man. So let's put this on. I'm not gonna do it the way Earth recommends it. I'm just gonna take it off like that. I'm not quite sure why they recommend you take it on and off. Maybe just so you don't damage things, but yeah, so this is with the 35, which is pretty sweet. And this 35 is yeah, now these are actually identical in size with the 35 f2 Sigma, which is one of my favorite lenses. So yeah, those are the 3 Minolta lenses that I currently have, and I so far have had really good results with them. So you guys probably wouldn't know, but I'm recovering from a knee surgery I had recently, and that has kind of prevented me from getting out. But I've been feeling better, so I was able to get out and take some photos with the 50mm and 35. So I don't have a lot to show you, but I'm going to show you the few images that were good, that came out sort of fantastic. And we're going to kind of go over those, and then I'm going to make some coffee and I'll shoot that with the vintage 50 so you can see what that looks like as well. So to start off, who is this sort of setup for and why would you do something like this? The first reason is maybe you're looking for a new experience. A lot of times your digital camera can get boring. It's either for work or you're just kind of bored with digital because there's no feel to it. And adapting a vintage lens can kind of bring that back because it is manual. Putting a manual lens on the Sony forces you to shoot in manual, so you have to understand, all the settings. What is aperture, shutter, ISO, what do all these things do and how do they affect the photo? So this would be a good way to sort of slow down, learn the settings, and probably get really good at composition versus just spraying and praying, or praying and spraying, depending on which way you decide to do it. But that would really help you learn, and that's what a lot of people say. Start off shooting film so you can learn all the settings, then you'll be a beast on digital. You might also be in a creative rut. You have sort of lost that passion, lost that inspiration to go out and take photos, and this would be something new. This would be a new lens, it's new gear, and you know how exciting that is. And that just might be the little spark that'll get you going again, get you out of that creative rut so you can get out and make content. And the last reason you might want to adapt some vintage lenses is because you're broke. Dude, you just spent $2K on a GM lens and you're like, bro, I got no money. Well, go on OfferUp and you can get a Minolta lens, a beautiful 50mm for like 50 bucks, maybe even less. You can get tons of nice fast primes, I should say, for really good prices these days because nobody really wants these lenses. And not only are they cheap, but they're also compact. Manual focus lenses are generally smaller, they're lighter, they take up less space on your camera, and they're perfect for carrying around and trying to be discreet when you're doing like street photography or something. Okay, so you finally get your hands on one of these guys and you're like, yo, how do I use this? Where should I go and shoot? Well, I'm gonna tell you guys the least and the most challenging places to shoot with a vintage lens. So if you're like a beginner or you're just kind of intimidated by manual focus, some of the least challenging places or scenarios to shoot would be things like landscape. Let's say you're gonna travel to, I don't know, Joshua Tree National Park. That'd be a great place to test out a vintage lens. Portraits would be another good option because, you're in control of your model, and as long as you're not having her do 360s, you should be fine. You're gonna, pose her up in a position, whether it be, you know, out and about or in the studio. She won't be moving or he won't be moving, and you'll be able to easily manual focus. Car photography, bro, if you're into cars, it is so easy to go to a car meet. They're not moving, they're parked up, and you can get some great shots and practice manual focusing like that. Street photography would also be a good opportunity to practice with manual lenses. A lot of times when I'm out, you know, I'll see some nice light and shadows on a building that look really cool. That's easy to capture. You know, you might see a cool building with like a vintage aesthetic. You might see different lines and stuff, or even people. You might see a guy sitting in a cafe just drinking coffee. He's not really moving too much. It'd be really easy to capture focus on something like that. So some of the more challenging scenarios using vintage lens would be if you're shooting obviously really fast moving objects. The obvious ones would include like sports, wildlife, surf, F1 racing, street. You know, in certain scenarios, depending on what you're capturing in the street, it might be hard to get people who are moving really fast, or let's say you're kind of doing like, you know how you see most people, they're walking around the city snapping photos of people. You might have to try and utilize the range focus. So you're not going to be able to walk and just like do this at the same time. That's going to be almost impossible. So what I usually do like 2 to 3 times a week is I'll do a photo walk. I'll just to keep things, you know, the creative engine all lubed up and fresh. I'll go out 2 to 3 times a week and shoot. And you know, most of the time it's personal work, or there maybe might be like a personal project I'm working on, and it's very easy to just slow down. I have all the time in the world to bust out the vintage lens and just capture what I'm going to capture. So that's kind of an easy way to get your feet wet. And then once you start to get good at it, you know, you can take it to different scenarios where things might be moving. Like for example, you know, I'm at the point now where I could take a manual lens and probably shoot some surfers, you know, shredding, take it and shoot a lot of moving objects. Like I feel comfortable to that point because I've been shooting film now for like 2 years. So it felt pretty normal now that I have manual focus on my Sony. Also, I think it'd be cool, you know, once you get used to it, let's say you take a trip to Portugal, you know, you can bring your vintage lenses with you and you'll have a lot more confidence, you know, to shoot around the city and shoot you know, the coast and whatnot. So I think that would be pretty sweet as well. There are some cons that I would say are relevant and worth talking about, 2 in specific. So one would be the convenience. Obviously this is manual focus, so like I just mentioned, there's different scenarios where you would shoot manual focus and a lot of scenarios that you wouldn't, and you might just be in a niche of photography where you wouldn't. So this video really doesn't apply. But maybe on your free time, you'll do stuff where you could use it. It can also be really frustrating too, you know, if you don't nail focus. You take a shot, you look at it, you're like, dang, I missed that moment because I was shooting manual focus. And that's kind of always like the what if factor. Like, what if there's an amazing, you know, scenario happening on the streets and I totally just mess it up and I miss the shot. That's real. Like, that's probably gonna happen. The other con would be like quality of the images, and this is kind of variable because it all depends on what lens, you know, you're gonna adapt to your camera. In my case, I have 2 lens adapters. I have the Leica M mount and I have the Minolta MD MC mount. Because I have the Leica M mount, I can also adapt like Voigtlander lenses, which are all really good. Leica M lenses, which are, as we know, amazing. And believe it or not, these Minolta lenses are really sharp. Now, if you just have like some weird off-label brand, I don't know, like Vivitar or some really old Canon lenses that just aren't that good, then you're gonna be disappointed. Like, you're not gonna be happy. But I would say so far shooting with these Minolta lenses, like I'm just blown away. Like, I just can't believe the RAWs that are coming out with that lens. Like, it's just crazy. I should have done this a long time ago. So that pretty much sums up this video. I don't know, I've been having a blast shooting with the vintage lenses to the point where I've actually ordered another one. It's a Telephoto Prime Minolta. I'm like super stoked to get it because it's really long and it should make for some good photos for some specific stuff that I want to shoot. But hopefully I'll be better by then and I can make a nice POV for you guys so you can see what it's like. For all of you guys who have subscribed recently from all the new videos, I thank you. Hope you're enjoying the content, and hope that if you're new again, you can subscribe, check out my work, helps me grow. You know, I have a website, I have some presets on there if you want to check those out. Or if you just want to see what I'm doing on the daily, you can subscribe on Instagram. Did they say subscribe? No, you can follow me on Instagram. It's hard to keep up with this stuff nowadays. And you can follow me on Twitter and Twitch and Stitch and Facebook and MySpace. Oh wait, MySpace. Thanks again, guys. It's been fun. I hope you have a great day. Get out and shoot, and we'll see each other in the next video.